Noite. Vamos continuar aqui nosso papo, o último da noite. A gente vai receber a Cass Phillips. Ela é de uma empresa que chama Failcon, de um evento que chama Failcon. Ela montou esse evento nos Estados Unidos e ela vai dividir um pouquinho a experiência dela do evento e principalmente falando um pouco dessa coisa do fracasso, né? Eu fiz algumas viagens exploratórias para o Silicon Valley e a gente constata várias coisas, né? A gente constata a existência de muito capital, a gente constata a existência de muito network, né? Um pouco do que a gente está fazendo aqui, né? É óbvio que as pessoas falam, pô, mas não dava para separar as salas, não dava para fazer com um pouco menos bagunça? Dava, lógico que dava, mas a gente acha que um pouco disso é que cria essa possibilidade de network, que a gente é muito bom de network de balada, mas a gente não é tão bom de network de business, né? A gente tem uma certa carência. Esse é um outro ponto do Silicon Valley. Uma coisa muito interessante que eu vi lá, né, é que uma das razões para ser tão interessante o Silicon Valley é que tem muito emprego, né? E aí eu falei, mas emprego? Mas nós não estamos falando de empreendedorismo? Sim, mas se der errado, você tem um emprego, né? Diminui muito o risco. E aí tem um quarto fator que eu acho que é muito importante, que é a tranquilidade em relação ao fracasso, né? O Silicon Valley tem uma característica que é única no mundo, mesmo nos Estados Unidos. Isso não é uma coisa americana, isso é uma coisa bem particular do Valley, que é as pessoas são ok com quem fracassa, né? E isso aumenta muito a perspectiva das pessoas empreenderem, aumenta muito a perspectiva das pessoas arriscarem. Talvez seja um dos poucos lugares do mundo que dá para ter um evento, né, que se chama fail, que se chama fracasso, né? Onde as pessoas não vão contar os seus fracassos, óbvio. As pessoas vão lá dividir os seus aprendizados, mas baseados nas suas histórias de fracasso. Então, um pouco dessa história, um pouco dessa visão do fracasso é o que a Cassandra vai fazer com a gente. Ela vai fazer em inglês, a gente avisou isso para vocês. Ela vai falar bem devagar e eu vou estar aqui para tirar dúvidas, para traduzir o que a gente não entendeu, o que vocês não entenderem. Mas eu acho que é tranquilo, a gente vai acompanhando nos PowerPoints. Espero que vocês curtam esse finalzinho de dia, já à noite aqui na Expo Y. Cassandra, come on. Let's welcome her with a Brazilian applause. So it's all yours. I made an introduction. Yep, you can. I think you can sit down there. You can. You want someone to change the slides, or you can? Okay, it's all yours. Okay, have fun.
Boa noite. Eu não falo português, so I have to speak in English. I'm sorry. Some of you in the back might want to move closer because I know you might be translating while I'm speaking. The number one thing before I start is I am an event coordinator, an organizer, and I love when my audience gets involved. So if you have a question, or if you can't understand something, either because the speakers are bad or my English is bad, feel free to just raise your hand and ask me. You can interrupt me. I don't mind. This talk is for you. It's for you to get what you need, so you're allowed to kind of direct me as you want to. For a bit of background, my name is, I didn't even put it on my first slide. My name is Cass Phillips. I'm an event organizer in Silicon Valley. I do events specifically for small businesses and for startups. Specifically, I'm the organizer of FailCon. It's a full-day conference on business failures and how we can prepare for them and recover from them when they strike. I don't know how involved you guys are right now, but with a show of hands, how many of you have had a failure? Have you failed in your life? I have. Good. I'm glad a few people are admitting it. How many of you think you will have a failure at some point in your life? All right, some of you are realistic or understand. You probably will. I hate to break it to you, but if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a founder of a company, you're going to fail. Your company might not fail, but you'll have a failure. So it's good to talk about it and learn from it. I wouldn't ask you to listen to me, and I wouldn't ask you to share your failures if I didn't share mine. So with a quick background, I was the founder with 2 other people of a startup called Trogger. We were trying to fix forum technology, online discussion boards. We spent about 9 months on it, and we spent about $80,000, which I think in reals is like $110,000. It's not a lot, but it's a fair amount of money. 9 months into it, we shut it down. We let go of all of our users. We all closed, and it was a pretty epic failure. I learned a lot from it and have moved on, and that's great. So that's my failure. That's where I'm coming from. I probably have more, but I won't really share them. So I like to start my talks pointing out the definition of failure, because it's an important definition to realize. The dictionary, at least the English dictionary, just defines failure as a lack of success. Wonderful. That doesn't really help me a lot. Specifically, success is described as the attainment of favorable or prosperous termination of attempts or endeavors. I don't even know what that means. In a nutshell, it just says you were not able to reach your goals that you had decided on in a certain time span. So not accomplishing your goals. I also add my own definition, which is an action or result that disappoints yourself or others. The important thing to notice about all of these definitions is that they are personal. Failure is entirely personal. It's totally dependent on the goals that you have set and the expectations that you have for yourself. It is not something, there isn't one number that defines failure. If I set a goal that I wanted a company to hit 100 people, and I hit 100 people, it is a success. But if I set my goal at 1,000 and I only hit 100, it is a failure, despite being the exact same company. So it's just something I like to remind people, that a lot of your failures are based totally on your perception. Another thing to notice is that your failures are based on a set amount of time. There has to be an end date for you to look back and recognize if it was a failure or success. So this leads to 2 ways that you can guarantee that you will never, ever fail in your life. And I don't suggest you actually do either of them, but they're good to notice. You can either, 1, never set any goals. If you have no goals at all, you will never fail, ever. Not so bad, really, you know. Or you can set goals that are really easy, which I admit I do sometimes. Sometimes it's okay. I just need to build myself up. Something like, I have the goal of eating a banana today. Not so bad. Really easy. My suggestion when you're building a company is to find something in between those 2. It's really unrealistic to not set any goals for your company. It's also not a good idea to set them too low. If you never ever fail in your life, you probably were doing one of those 2 things, and that's disappointing. So the number 1 message from this is let yourself fail a little bit, which leads to make sure you're setting really realistic goals. It's really okay to dream big. I love when founders come to me and they say, I'm going to be the next Facebook. That's cool. Okay, I would like to be the next Facebook too. That would be fun. That's a great goal to have written on a piece of paper and tacked up to your wall somewhere with little gold stars around it. But it's not a very actionable goal for your company. Your company and your employees and your co-founders don't know how to be Facebook. So while you've got this big goal, which is great, make sure you've set up a bunch of small goals along the way, things that are really realistic. These are important things to talk about with your investors or your mentors, which I'll talk about a little later. But they should be realistic goals that are a little challenging. They should also be measurable, but I'll get there. The importance of these is not just so that you can get there, but to make sure you have moments when you can look back and you can say, I've succeeded. and to allow yourself and your employees a moment to feel happy. A big issue we had at my startup, Trogger, was that we kept working and all of our goals were so big that we never could say, hey, we did something really good. And if you can never say that, you're going to burn out really fast. So make sure you're taking a moment to really celebrate your successes when you have them. And when those failures happen, then you can make sure that you can catch them really early, which leads to, with the idea of really small goals, with goals that are attainable, when you have them, the point of a small goal is to make it measurable. People, I don't know if you guys have it here, we have in America the lean startup movement. The idea, yes. Oh, no. The idea of the lean startup movement, to quickly cap it, it's this idea of keeping yourself not fat, of being able to move really quickly. The idea of someone who's really skinny can like maneuver really fast, and they can slip through little holes. And that's the idea with your company, is for as long as you can, you want to keep it able to move very fast. The way to do this is to make sure that all of your decisions are relatively small. And again, you have this big goal up here, and hopefully all your small decisions are getting you there, but you can keep them small. And this lets them be really measurable. If you don't have something you're measuring, you are also going to fail, because you're not going to know if you're close at all. It also makes, if you're making very small changes, so I don't know, do you guys read TechCrunch down here? Okay, some people are nodding. So big tech blog. They just did a full massive redesign of their entire website. And some people loved it and some people hated it. And Facebook does that all the time. Facebook's always changing. An easier way to do that, and I know I'm countering two really big companies here, is to make your design changes really small. Start with just a header or just the sidebar and watch what happens. Does engagement with does your users' growth go up or does it go down? If you do a full redesign and your website statistics start changing, you don't know why. You have no idea why suddenly half your users left. And that can't help you at all. But if you just change a button or you just change a link and suddenly user engagement goes up, now you know why and you can start acting on that. Small changes like these are also a lot more manageable. Your team knows how to make a small change. As I said before, your team doesn't know how to be the next Facebook, but your team probably knows how to design a bit of code, or your marketing manager might know how to reach 1,000 people. So just start there and be okay with that. This is the idea of the lean startup movement, is that you should be constantly releasing content. If you are not releasing something new, you are not doing it right. You should always have something new coming out of your company or in the works in your company. So obviously you're doing this, you've got all these little goals, you've got these little things you're releasing. If one of them is going wrong, well then what? You need to act really fast. This is a big thing I see a lot of founders do wrong. They've been collecting these metrics, they've been watching these changes, and then they just kind of sit there. And they go, well, our engagement dropped this month. That sucks. Wonderful. And they don't ever do anything about it. 3 things you should not do. As I said, don't ignore the problem. If you see your numbers going down, and all of you should be collecting metrics. You should always be knowing how many users are on your site, how long are they there, what links are they clicking on, where are they leaving, when are they buying. You should be able to recite these to me if I stopped you right now on the street. So if you see these numbers dropping, do not ignore it. It is a problem and it is not going to go away. Don't wait for more data. You might need more data, in which case you should be out there collecting it actively. Don't wait for it to come into you. And the biggest thing is don't start blaming others. I don't care if it's really your designer's fault. You hired your designer. That makes it your fault too. A lot of startups I hear saying, oh, well, the market wasn't ready. Well, you chose to launch during that market. That is still your fault. One of the downsides to being a founder is pretty much everything is your fault. Sucks, but that means the good stuff is too. Be ready to try a lot of something's new. Make sure you always have ideas that you are ready to put on the table And when someone comes to you with an idea, do not necessarily turn them down. You can be A, B,